name is Tiffany Bowen. I'm a student at Liberty University. I will be presenting to you my interpersonal communication project that was completed for the course HSCO 508. Today I will be going into details about my own personal behavior blend and communication and listening skills that I learned throughout the course. So I will start off by just giving a basic definition of communication and interpersonal communication. Communication, the term communication and communicating labels the continuous complex collaborative process of verbal and nonverbal meaning making. Communication as a skill is a common enough concept, yet of all the time we spend communicating, communication by far is the greatest spent listening. So we listen a lot when we're communicating and talking a lot in communication. What is interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication is a subset of this general process, a particular kind or type of communication. This type of communication happens when people are talking and listening at maximizing on personal levels. Listening is intimately related to our core concern as interpersonal communication scholars, how communication creates and helps maintain, transform, and dissolves relationships. So right now I'll be talking to you about my overarching goal, what I would like to accomplish in communicating. I would like to listen before speaking without passing judgment because of what I may perceive, becoming an active listener without interrupting the talker, striving to be an encourager and also respectful. I will show love for others as Christ loves me, which is unconditionally. And a part of that overarching goal is to listen at a level 1, which means you're completely in tune with what the talker is saying, to allow the talker to not feel judgment from me as the listener. Mentally, we can already pass judgment on the talker's situation, whatever they may be saying. We could pass judgment. My goal is to not do that. And to show godly love despite the talker's situation. To love the talker, love their situation despite what it may be, despite how it may make me feel, just to give them godly love. I plan to enlarge the conversation with mindful listening, focused attention on the present, and can helpfully promote interpersonal quality communication. So mindful listening, I want to be mindful that I am listening to someone tell me about their, situation or whatever it is that they're communicating with me about. Empathetic listening, I want to focus on the person's thoughts and feelings, not just my own, the person I'm talking to. And encouraging skills to pull more out of the conversation, to keep in tune with the conversation and to pull more out of it, so to keep the conversation going. So right now I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm 31, African American female. I was born in Richmond, Virginia. I was raised in a small county called Amelia, which I do currently still live in Virginia. I'm an only child. I was raised in a single parent household. My mother and my grandparents contributed to my upbringing. I have no real relationship with my father. I'm fully aware of who he is, but no relationship. I'm not married and I don't have any children. I recently finished my bachelor's in psychology in December 2015 from Liberty University. And I'm currently pursuing a master's in marriage and family counseling with Liberty University. And a part of the reason why I had to take this course. So behavioral blend, I'll talk a little bit about the 4 temperament models of human behavior. You have active task-oriented and active people-oriented, passive people-oriented, and passive task-oriented. According to Carbonell, everyone thinks, feel, and act differently according to many influences. So at this point I will go a little bit into my uniquely you profile that was created, that I filled out a whole bunch of questions on a questionnaire to come up with a behavioral blend. And my behavioral blend said that I function in the D, the I, the C, the D, the I, the S, and the C. I function highly in all 4. But what was expected of me doing this profile was that I can adapt and tend to more tend to be more in control of myself in public and private. I'm often transparent and predictably bossy, more outgoing and friendly among close friends and relatives than I am in the workplace or unfamiliar environments. Expected to be more passive and reserved at home or in familiar environments than I tend to be at work or unfamiliar environments, and tend to be less cautious and calculating publicly, but more careful and critical thinking and privately. Listen, this is nothing like me. So what I did was created what is me. I'm definitely an overachiever. I'm likable. I would like to think that I, cross paths with people that really, truly and genuinely like me. I'm passionate about achieving excellence. I'm passionate about just being the best that I can be and fulfilling my dreams in life. Vision is often clouded by a strong motivative to respond the best way as possible. My vision is often clouded by my motivations. Sometimes if I'm motivated and determined, I'm just gonna go straight for it. Handle conflict well, but struggle with pressure. This is definitely true about me. I can handle conflict very well, but pressure does something else to me. Determined to succeed and overwhelmed by my emotions. And yeah, I like to talk. A couple of barriers that I found in this course throughout the reading that I felt would hinder me from communicating or listening to my full potential. One was just listening in general. After reading in Burley Allen that the listening levels were 1, 2, and 3, 1 meant that that talker had your undivided attention, and a 3 meaning you're just not listening at all. So the most significant communication barrier is the levels of listening. Burley and Allen instructs that all listeners should be listening at level 1 at all times. Unfortunately for me, if it's not interesting, if the conversation is not intriguing, I don't listen very well. Well, the solution to that was the talker listener card that comes with Peterson's book on Why Don't We Listen Better. Using this card will allow me to maintain the goal of being a good listener. Having the desire to listen better, I should remain calm and understanding and listen without disagreeing. And the talker listener card, I felt, will just allow me to know my role and know my position when I'm in a conversation. The second barrier that I came across was biased listening. Sometimes we can already experience what the talker is giving us, whether it's positive or negative, and we're already past judgment about their situation. So being a biased listener can stop me from gathering all details from the talker. This commonly happens because the listener has had a negative experience elsewhere and allowing it to filter over into their personal situation. Into the present situation. The solution I found with that is to remain positive even if the situation reminds me of something that I have already encountered. To tune out the negativity and remain a level 1 listener, which means that if I'm listening to my full potential to the talker, that at this point my situation doesn't matter. Their situation is new to me. The next barrier that I found that is a communication problem for me is experiencing high emotions, either positive or negative, usually interferes with listening ability. Strong feelings are one barrier that influences effective listening, and they can sometimes cause confusion and taking information in a disorganized manner. So the solution I found to that was emotions can be on an all-time high depending on what the listener may be experiencing. For me, it is best to put my issues to the side to be able to fully understand and receive the information as it is being delivered, to make sure that I do not confuse the conversation with my own issues. So high emotions, the solution for me is just to focus on what the talker is explaining to me and trying to be as attentive as I can. Noise pollution. Wow. Thinking of all the things that are going on around us when we're talking, having conversations. Think about the people that surround us and how it can affect us listening. So you have internal noise pollution and external noise pollution. And so internally, we describe that as things that happen in us. So noise pollution, internal noise pollution, allows us to hear what we want to hear, no concentration on what is being expressed from the talker, and listening with biased ears. So, listening with biased ears, internal, just means we're listening to our own problems and not, the person that's talking. External noise pollution can mean interruptions from others, like our cell phones, the environment that you may be in. It could be, loud noises, or the talker is just not speaking loud enough. So it's up to us to, alleviate those things. Internal and external noise pollution solutions. So for internal pollution, the solution we could do is remain a level 1 listener, putting your own thoughts, my own thoughts away, remaining positive even if I've encountered something of such before, even if it's something I've already encountered, or even if I feel like I know how the situation is going to end. I need to remain positive and be focused on the talker, and not my own internal thoughts. For the external solution, to alleviate loud noises, cell phone usage, noisy environments, we can move to a quiet area. We can also put cell phones on silent and be in an environment where both parties can use their inside voices to communicate. Yeah, we know inside voices go back to kindergarten. But when you're talking over a solution and a problem, you don't want to be yelling and screaming at each other. You want to be able to talk at a regular tone and know that you can hear each other clearly. Plan of action. Wow. How do I plan to overcome my interpersonal communication skills and my listening skills? I will take the skills that I've learned and apply them daily to listening with empathy, providing grace to others just as God gives grace even when I don't deserve it. Applying the talker-listener card to future conversations so that the listener and I will know our positions in the conversation. Listen, the talker-listener card has been like a great device for me. When I opened the book and I got the card, like even communicating with my significant other, sometimes I lay it on the table and I show, like, this is my role. I am not to pass judgment. I am not to disagree. I am just here to listen. That's the goal. And so I plan to use that in future conversations. I also plan to eliminate all distractions and allow the talker to complete a full statement by remaining silent and listening attentively. Sometimes we have a thought in our head. Well, me personally, I have a thought in my head and I feel like I have to get it across really quick. So sometimes I have to interrupt that person, and I'm becoming more cautious of that. Sometimes you have to let people finish their statement, and that if what you have to say is important, you will definitely remember it once they're finished talking. So to conclude, I conclude with a quote. Communication works for those who work at it. So working at communication is not easy, but if you work at it, you're bound to accomplish better communication skills, better listening skills, and just overall become a better listener. So I thank you guys for tuning in to my interpersonal communication project presentation, and I hope that I gave some valuable information, and prayerfully will work on these skills and become a better communicator and better at listening. Thank you.